he would really hit them, like till their head is. The boy one time his head was bleeding. The daughter he belt her.
Children, or he had 5 other children and 5 other
Mm.
women, was it?
The camera zooming in from his balcony to like my house, where we lived opposite. Me and Shanice literally left with the clothes we had on, our little bags on our back, and I just left everything and just went. And I remember that train journey. Every stop, I thought he was going to get on the train. The next stop, I thought I was looking, I think he's going to get on the train. We were in a refuge before, and then we were in another refuge. We were in them. I just felt so lonely. None of my kids was with me. And it was just, everything just felt just dark, everything just felt like, my gosh, this cloud, everywhere I went, there was just this cloud. And that's the time when I was just like, never again, I said to myself, I said, never again would I experience, this kind of loneliness. My brother got married, he didn't invite me, probably because of how I was. My son came in, and my son looked at him, and he looked at my son, and there was silence for a bit. And then my son said,
Okay, so Sandra, where we left off in part 1 was that Shanice's father came to the door, knocked on the door, you answered the door with one of your sons in your hand, and he came for you because he was upset that you asked him to leave and you didn't ask Kevin to leave. Now, remember I said to you, after our live, I ponder on your story, I think, I dissect, and blah, blah, blah. And one of the things that I really wanted to know more about, Sandra, was how things worked out in a way where you and Kevin technically were still together, but you weren't. To the point that Shanice's dad could be in the house. Because you've got that we're not together anymore. Cool. But for it to be at the point where we are, but we're not, but someone else can come in the picture, that I need you to help me understand clearer, please.
I don't, yeah, don't know how that even happened, because I used to, around that time, I used to, like the circle of friends that I had, we used to, if we weren't drinking and smoking and, we weren't having fun, we couldn't sit and talk like me and you are talking, or, and think it always involved drink, it always involved smoke, so that's how my life was then. I had the 2 children, and that's just how my life was, so to see, Shanice's dad, somebody who always, just always had, those things that I wanted. And I remember even saying at the time, like, oh, I'm going to have his baby, kind of thing, and it's like I almost was drawn to him, so that's how that happened. But because I hadn't, finished with Kevin, it was always in the back of my mind when I was going into this, relationship with him, that, it's like I knew I hadn't finished with Kevin, but I just was just being drawn, into, that way of life and, that relationship, and I think he sensed, sensed I was vulnerable as well, you know, and just, you know, but it takes two to tango anyway. So, you know, I've got my own part to play and my own, you know, faults to, you know, because you know, I was at fault, you know, so yeah, that's just one thing just led to another, you know, so yeah.
So Sandra, you said at this time your lifestyle involved a lot of smoking, drinking,
Mhm,
and vibesing.
mhm, mhm.
How did that look like as a mother of two? Were you
Yeah.
smoking and drinking around that time as well? Like, how did, yeah, tell me when the smoking and drinking kind of really flared up? Because you've got the social here, there, but then you've got when it
Mhm.
becomes a part of your lifestyle. So let me know when it kind of became a part of your lifestyle along with the parenting. Kind of describe how that looked like, please.
Mhm. It was at first it just started mainly, you know, when well, it wasn't even when they were in bed, you know, when the children were in bed, you know, I'd do it, you know, there, you know, around them, you know, so it wasn't when they were in bed, you know, it was something that I just, looking back now, you know, it's just like, oh my gosh, you know, if that's, you know, the example that I was setting for them at such a young age, you know, it was just I don't know. I just don't know, Riva.
Mm,
I don't know how, you
mm,
know, I just found myself in that kind of situation. I used to drink in my teens and, you know, things like that, but and smoke as well. But then now having the children as well, I still, you know, functioned and everything like
mm,
that in looking after them. But probably not functioning as best as, you know, I
mm,
could have, or doing, you know, the best for them that, you know, that I could and should have been doing.
mm.
But
Have your
it's
boys ever spoken to you about that? About that era or anything like
um
that?
not the big one. The big one hasn't. No,
Okay.
he seems like probably probably blocking it out, the bigger one, yeah. But the
Okay.
younger one, he, you know, himself has, you know, some problems, you know, of his own, you know, that stem from that part of, you know, my life. Because at one point, during like those years, you know,
Mm,
I remember when things just got so bad, you know, I just woke them up one morning, early, very early one morning. I don't know how I got to their dad's house, how I got to Kevin's house. I think it must have been in a cab or something. And I just left them. I just woke them up early from bed, you know, got them ready. And I just took them to Kevin's and I just left them, you know, I just felt like they were better off there, you know, than with me. So that's how they became to, you know, live, you know, with their dad. And they moved from London and, you know, went to, I think it was Leeds. So I just had, you know, had Shanice, but it was just like I remember just drifting. Those years were just drifting through life, year after year after year after year, until I got to the year 1999.
mm,
And I remember that year so just so prominent because I was in my flat at that time. I had the three kids by then, but the two boys were with their dad. Shanice was with her dad because by then we was just in a court, you know, in court, him, you know, that I'm an unfit mom. I'm saying, you know, he's, you know, not fit, you know, to be a
mm,
dad. So they said that, you know, she would spend time with him, she would spend time with me. And I remember going into the year to 2000. 2000, I remember with the fireworks going off and everything, like, and that's where that's where I want to start, like, my book from that point, where I just remember looking out my window and seeing all the fireworks going off, and I just felt so lonely. None of my kids was with me, and it was just, everything just felt just dark. Everything just felt like, my gosh, this cloud, everywhere I went there was just this cloud. And that's the time when I was just like, never again, I said to myself, I said, never again would I experience, this kind of loneliness, ever again. I had my kids, but I was on my own in that moment. And it was just horrible. It was just a really, really horrible time, so yeah, it's just, yeah, it was a dark time, but yeah, I can look back now, what, 25, nearly 26 years later, and yeah, can look back now and yeah, and just be thankful, for, yeah, where
Okay.
I am. Yeah.
And we thank God for that, for real. We thank
Yeah.
God for that. And there's a lot of things we want in life, and we say, I want this and I want that. But what I've come to realize from my own life, all the things that when I really meant them, those are the ones I always see come true.
Mm,
I've got a list of things. Them one, yeah, maybe, whatever. They might come true if someone else does it. They may happen, they may not. But the ones, and when I say it, when I'm saying it to myself at the time, I know I'm serious about it. But because I have so many other things I want, sometimes it's hard to really tell which one you're truly serious about. But your
mm,
soul, your heart, your mind, your spirit, it picks up which one you're truly serious about.
mhm,
And those ones are the ones later on you think, oh my God, yeah, I did tell myself I always wanted to do that, and here we are
mhm,
now, and it's happening, and the rest kind of fall in the gaps, But the ones you truly, when you speak to yourself and you say enough is enough,
mhm,
they tend to
mhm.
be, and
Yeah, you
I
got
could
to get to
imagine
that point.
that point
Yeah.
sounded like one of those where you said,
Mhm,
nah, nah, nah,
mhm,
nah, 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 not
mhm.
not anymore, and your
No.
spirit felt it and was like, okay, she
Mhm,
really means it, so let's make it happen, yeah.
yeah.
So big congratulations on that,
Thank you.
honestly. So I'm going to step back a little bit, Sandra. When you were raising your boys, and there was a bit of smoking and drinking, and you had your friends who had that similar lifestyle, did they used to come into the house as well and smoke and drink, or did you used to socialize more outside with them and take your
Yeah,
boys with
no.
you? What did it
Yeah,
look like?
no, they would come to my house, I'd
Okay,
go to their house.
okay,
Um, yeah, we'd
okay,
always, go to each other's houses.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
And so your boys would be with you, and they were always kind of in
Yeah,
that
yeah, because
environment.
they had people I used to go to their house. If they had children, they were my
Mm,
kids' friends. They used to,
okay.
the kids would be playing, and yeah.
So, do you think, because you said that you did drink during your teen years, do you
Mm.
think that smoking and drinking um, flared up when you started having children? When do you think it increased more?
Mm, I think it increased more um, when I started, you know, being like in the relationship with the DV. It started, just to, maybe not. Maybe it did get worse then, because I remember because every week we used to go to his mum's house every Friday. Even
Okay.
if we didn't have fare, we'd walk from Forest Hill to Lewis to Lewisham. Yeah, to
This is
to
Shanice's
his
dad,
mum.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we'd, go to his mum's. Every Friday we'd go to his mum's house,
Okay.
and I remember, like just, drinking a lot and, yeah,
Okay.
just, yeah, drinking a lot. When we went to Jamaica, we went to Jamaica together. I remember
Mm,
drinking a lot. You know, when I when I left him as well,
mm,
I thought to myself, that's, once I leave, the toxic like environment and, friends and stuff like that, because that's when we moved just,
mm,
well, we were in a refuge before, and then we were in another refuge. We were in them twice.
okay.
So the one when we moved away, um, I was still doing it. I thought, a new scenery, new, everything, a fresh start, but I found myself still doing it, still doing it, couldn't break the habit.
Mm,
But eventually, I remember we just me, Shanice and her brother, we were, when they rehoused us,
mm,
we were in the area and we were meant to be going we're meant to be going to Wimbledon. I don't know if I said it on the other
mm,
one, but we left out because didn't know the area. So I said, let's just go to Wimbledon. So the bus was taking so long that I just said, come on, kids. I just crossed the road and just went the other way and took us into West Croydon. So
mm,
it was just in West Croydon that in the Whitgift Centre, like there was a church and they were like, doing outreach,
mm,
and I stopped long enough, they gave me a tract, so, you know, the kids didn't want to stop, but it was the singing and that just drew me,
mm,
so I remember ringing my mum, and telling her all about it because my mum, helped me. I'll go back a bit, Reva,
mm,
because when I finally left that relationship, I finally left the area.
mhm,
I remember going to get on the train and to, move away because by this time I wasn't living with Shanice's dad anymore. He lived in one place. Shanice's school was in the middle, and I lived at the back of the school. But
okay.
he would, still,
Mm.
um,
Antagonite, come
come
over.
to my
Yeah.
house. He come to be bursting into my house to be grabbing her, to grabbing her out if, he didn't pick her up, or some kind of problem. And she was with me, he'd come to burst through and I was like,
Mm,
no. So, after I got to another point where I was like, enough is enough. So me and Shanice literally left with the clothes we had on, our little bags on our back, and I just left everything and just went. And I remember that train journey. Every stop, I thought he was going to get on the train. The next stop, I think he's going to get on the
mm,
train. Next stop until we got to where we were going, and then I
right.
just felt relief. But still, I wouldn't. I felt afraid to go back to back to the area, back to visit my mom,
Mm,
you know, just to go back to the area for a long, long time. I felt afraid, but
mm,
God is good because about 2 years ago, Shanice was cooking dinner to bring and give to her dad, so she
mm,
said, oh, mom, we'll give dad some food and then we'll go to do like, give out things in Brixton at Christmas. So, you know, Reba, I
Productive.
went to the house. Yeah, I went back to that house where I had so much. Yeah,
Oh, you
so
went
much.
with her to
Yeah,
drop.
I went with her. Yeah, I went
Was that
with her.
the first time you had seen him in a long time, or what?
I
How?
had seen him before at like the kids' parties and that, but I'd not been. I don't think I'd been back in the house, you know, kind of like in that way.
In
And
that
it just
house,
was like
yeah.
in that house, you know,
Is
where
this the same house he was living in when you met him? Can't be.
no,
Okay,
because
okay,
we
okay,
moved, you know,
okay,
because of
okay.
problems, you know, because of, you know, this, it was a, it was a big problem, you know, not with
Okay.
him, but with, you know, big problem, you know, so we had to move.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, the first time I was back in that house, I was like, my God, you've really, you know, set me free. You know, you've really set me free that I could do that. You know, and it's another thing that happened as well. My son, the biggest one, he always comes Christmas Eve or stuff, you know, to drop presents and that. So Shanice's dad was at her house, you know,
Okay.
so I was there, and my big son, he was coming to, you know, give presents, and I think that's the first time he's seen him since he was a boy, you know, so he was fixing something for Shanice's son, her dad, you know, fixing cabinet or whatever it was. And my son came in, and my son looked at him, and he looked at my son, and my son, there was silence for a bit. And then my son said, what can I do to help? You know? And he went, yeah, and he went and help him to set up the thing and that, you know, because my son is not that, you know, kind of a person that would, you know, do any harm or anything to him, even though he, you know, saw and, you know, experienced, you know, whatever at his hands, you know,
Yeah.
when he was a boy, you know. So I said, look at, you know, look at
Wow.
that. Look at that.
You raised them right from the way they were
Yeah, yeah,
responding.
yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Let's pause because we've come to today, so which is good, but we're gonna retract a little bit. And this bit is still where I'm trying to chip into. I'm still like trying to get in there. And maybe the only way I'm gonna get to understand this is if I literally ask for a day-to-day walkthrough to understand this. So you are at home with your two boys. Kevin is at university. You feel like basically I'm alone. He's at university a lot. Is he coming home every single day?
No.
Okay. How often is he? Because he hasn't got his own place, right? Or he does, and you have
Kevin
your own
does,
place.
yeah, he has his
Yeah,
own
that's
place,
it.
yeah.
So, how often is he coming to your place where he sleeps the night, wakes up, and spends the day there with you and the boys?
Maybe like once a week.
Okay.
Once a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Shanice's dad is more local because he's in the area you live in.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. At any point, was Kevin's university segment coming around only one day a week? Did that kind of encourage any smoking and drinking in your life?
No, because I was doing it
Anyway.
anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we've met Shanice's dad. He has what we need in different ways, physically, mentally. Kevin's come to your house, and on that night, Shanice's dad is there, and Kevin has come. Was Shanice's father aware of Kevin?
Yeah, because he used to
Okay.
talk to him like, they weren't friends like that, but he used to, like
He
talk
knew of
to
him.
him. Yeah, he
He
knew
knew
of
of
him.
him.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
and he knew that you shared children together.
yeah,
Okay, but
yeah.
he
He
never
knew they were
asked.
Kevin's. Yeah, he knew they were Kevin's children.
But he never
Yeah.
asked you officially, are you with him or not? He just assumed that.
No,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
because yeah.
okay. So here we are. When you asked Shanice's father to leave and he left, what was the conversation between you and Kevin? Now Shanice's dad's walked out the
Oh
door.
my
He shut the
gosh,
door.
I can't even remember either.
Mm,
Yeah, no, I can't remember.
okay, what do you
Yeah,
remember? Well, it might not be an actual thing. It might be a feeling. It
yeah.
might be a sound. What do you remember about that moment?
I honestly I can't even remember. I know that like the atmosphere was just really frosty.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm, okay.
yeah.
So Shanice's father has walked out the door. The atmosphere is frosty. Does
Mm.
Kevin stay that night or does he leave shortly after?
He leaves shortly after.
Okay. He leaves shortly after. How long after did he return to the house, if
I
ever?
can't remember. Yeah, no, I can't
Okay.
remember either.
And before he ever returned, did you have any other communication, like on the phone or anything else?
We would have because of the children, because he was always, like looking after his children.
Okay.
Yeah, always
So,
had care for his children.
okay. So would you say then, after Shanice's dad walked out and Kevin left shortly after, would you
Mhm.
say the moment Kevin left shortly after, that's when your relationship was over, or would you say you continued in a
So
relationship?
no, we didn't continue.
From that
No,
night, it
it
was
was over. Yeah,
basically said
yeah,
without
hmm,
words, but it's over. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
hmm,
So now, Shanice's father returns the next day, very upset that he was asked to
hmm,
leave.
yeah.
An
I
altercation.
think because we had been, I'd been seeing him at least, a good few months.
Mm.
Yeah.
So for a good few months, Kevin wasn't even aware. I guess he's coming one
It's
day a week.
kind of like I was kind of hiding it.
Mm,
Yeah, I was hiding that I was, with Shanice's
mm,
dad because I didn't know, or not that I didn't want to tell him, I didn't know how, to tell
mm.
him. Mhm.
And when you say you didn't know how to tell him, what do you think made it difficult for you to be like, yeah? I guess there was something you would have had to say to him that I guess you didn't want to say
Yeah,
to him.
because I stopped like being like interested in that way, like
Mm.
yeah.
That connection with him kind of.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Okay,
Yeah, it wasn't there,
okay.
and I think he was the same as well. Like we didn't really like sleep together. Like yeah,
We're just
yeah,
housemates basically, co-parenting,
mm,
taking care of the kids in and out.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay. So it was an unspoken drift, but I guess on
mm,
that night he was still shocked. He was like, "Oh, okay,
mm,
the truth. Here it is." Okay, so after the altercation with Shanice's father, what happened? So let's say the altercations happened. He's now taken his hands off you and he stepped back. What's happened next?
I've just shut the door. He's gone. He's just gone off.
Oh,
It's
he
just like
left the house.
he's gone. Yeah, because it was at the door. He weren't in the. He didn't come in. It was just like as I opened the door, he's just come in, and it's just like at the doorway.
Mm. And how long would you say it lasted for?
Just like a minute or so.
And then he just left.
He just left. Yeah.
Okay. So, How long after did you see him again? After that altercation, when did you next see each other face to face? A day or two, a week?
Remember, probably a day or two, or
Okay. Did he
yeah, I
return
can't
to the
really
house?
remember.
Okay.
I can't. Honestly, I can't remember.
Okay. So, generally speaking, then the relationship continued.
Mhm.
What was the reason for the next altercation? Just the reason. What
Oh,
was the
I
or
can't even
or
remember.
another
Yeah.
question then.
Mhm.
Roughly how long would you say was the duration between the first altercation and the next
Mm.
one? A month or two, 6 months,
Mm.
few days?
I don't. Honestly, I don't really remember. I don't.
Okay.
No, I don't. Yeah, my memory is just. I don't know
Yeah, it
if
gets
I just
blurred.
try and block
Yep.
some.
Yeah.
Block
Yeah.
some.
I
Some of
bet.
it I remember more vividly, but
Mm.
other things. Yeah, I don't remember.
So overall, how long would you say you were with him before you were officially like, okay, the relationship's ended now? How many years?
About
Or
7 years.
about 7
Because
years?
I
Okay.
left. I left when. Um, well, I left the house. Gosh, because we went to Jamaica when Shanice was three. She was four in Jamaica.
Okay.
When we came back, he was more. I had already made up my mind, that
Mm.
I don't want to be with. I don't want to be. I didn't tell him that, but I'd
Mm.
already made up in my mind that I don't, want to,
Mm.
be with him. But again, I didn't know how to say.
Mm.
But I in my mind I'd already left.
Mm.
Yeah, but I was still there. But when
Mm.
we came back from Jamaica, um, while we were in Jamaica as well, we was a bit um,
Distant?
distant. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, because his mum would introduce me to, because we stayed with their family, would
Mm.
introduce me. Oh, it's Tony's girlfriend, but I was
Mm.
like, am I? In my mind, I was like, am I?
Mm.
Yeah, I'd left.
Mm.
I'd left long before,
Mm.
I actually left. But but when I left and went into the refuge, that was when she was free, and then we went to Jamaica together with
Okay.
his family and that. And then when we came back, I don't think I was living there. I think I had moved just before then to the place that was more or less on the other side of his.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So you
yeah.
left, went to a refuge
Mhm.
before you lived in the place that was opposite from him,
Yeah,
and then had to leave again.
the refuge housed us in the place opposite him,
Okay.
and then we were there a few, not long, must have been about 2 years or so, because we left when Shanice was she was 6, because she had her 7th birthday in the other women's
Um,
refuge that we were in. So
okay.
yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You left, went to a refuge, but then were you still in some sort of relationship with him? Because you said you went to Jamaica
Yeah,
with his family.
yeah. I was in some kind of
Okay.
relationship with
Okay.
him. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I was, because yeah.
Okay. And then you return, and now you're in this place
Mhm.
opposite him,
Yeah, I
and he's
think.
barging in the house, and he's doing
Mhm.
all sorts, and you're like,
Yeah.
we've got to go again.
Mhm.
So you go with
Yeah.
him. Okay.
Mhm.
How did you get the message across that we are fully and truly done now? What did that look like?
Um, what I think we did talk about it, because it it was in my other place. This was the place that was opposite him, and he came over, and I think, just sorry that, whatever, just trying to be sorry, really. And just by then in my mind, I found the strength to say, like, no, enough is enough. And it's just like, oh, can't we, kind of do it for one last time's sake? And I'm thinking, no, no. I was strong enough to say, no, that's not going to happen, and that's where I think I found, like the strength to just, in the end, just go. Because I
So,
think it was
Sandra,
after that time that he kind of, just became nasty again, and, would burst in. And, if he saw me walking down the road, I had a friend who I knew, a guy friend, it was just like a friend I knew from before. And he, saw me walking down the road with a guy friend, he'd, just be just nasty in his way, and things like that, quite threatening in his way. Yeah, so I was just like, you know, no, we
no.
need to go. Yeah. And I think as well that he had a video, like a video recorder. And I think I don't know, how I don't know if it's a memory or, or what, but I'm sure, one of the reasons was that I actually, saw like footage. I don't know, I was looking, I don't know if it's a figment of my imagination, but I doubt it, like the camera zooming in from his balcony to like my house, where we lived opposite. Yeah, because because during the summer there's lots of trees and that, but during the winter you could literally stand on my balcony and see his balcony and vice versa, So don't know if it's just my imagination, but I don't think it is, when I saw that, I don't know, but yeah.
You were a bit like, okay, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to ask you this, Sandra. During all your relationship with Shanice's father and all the things that happened, how, when, where, what, just in general, please tell me, if any, were there moments, were there times where you sat down and thought about your mum and your dad who used to go through the same things?
I don't think I did, but there was one time that, he, like, my head, like I had like a big lump in my head. And I remember I went, because my mum lived up the road. I don't think I'd ever told my mum, I don't think I'd ever told her anything, like that, because she would sometimes come and see us and things like that, but I don't think I ever told her. But this day when I had like this big lump in my head, I walked up to my mum's, in just distraught, and I told my mum, I don't know, I said in the first video, my mum would, we said we were somewhere, my mum would walk you down there and ask the person, she's like, come on, she walked me back down there, and she really, really had a go at him, really, it's a Jamaican term, but I was like, she said, if you do it again, I will blood you up, and I was shocked because my mum doesn't speak like that, So yeah, yeah, but it did happen again after. I didn't tell my mum, but my mum was, yeah, she said, don't let this happen again, Yeah.
So there was no time where you thought this guy's doing what my dad did. There was no time you thought this is
If
what
I
my mum.
did, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Don't
Mm,
think so. I think I
mm,
was just, as I said, just drifting through life, just year after year. Things were happening. My brother got married. You know,
mm,
not he didn't invite me probably because of how I was there. I don't know, but he probably
mm.
didn't know my life. But probably did. You know,
Which
but.
brother? The older one.
The older one, yeah, yeah.
So the
He
older
got
one
married.
got
I
married.
think he got. When did he get married? I think he got married. I think in 1999, and that was the year that was just really
So bad,
dark
yeah,
for
you
me.
said,
So it's
yeah.
just like things were happening in life, and it was just passing me by. I was just oblivious.
Mm,
Yeah, it's not like he's separated me from my family kind of thing, but it is like I was kind of,
separated from the whole
uh,
world, spaced out, literally
yeah,
detached.
yeah,
There's a word, it's gone out my head. Almost dissociated. Just
hmm
yeah, just like I'm here, but I'm not really here.
yeah, the lights are on, but
Mm,
nobody's home, kind of
mm.
thing.
So let's step back a little bit because I think there's something important there. You said your brother didn't invite you to his wedding.
Mm.
How did that make you feel? And when did you realize that was happening?
Probably years later.
Oh,
Yeah, probably years later,
wow.
seeing his photos,
So you didn't know he got
on
married?
Facebook. No, I don't know. He
Wow.
got married. It's like seeing it on Facebook. My sister was there.
Wow.
My other sister was there. But it just goes to show, I'm not saying anything about him. It
Mm,
just goes to show that things are just happening, in life. Even my twin brother as well.
mm,
The first I know he died. My stepsister, like knocking down my door. That time, we that's when there was a big problem and we had to move. So my sister knocking down my door early in the morning, just to let me know, my my twin has passed, but yeah, it's just, mm,
Okay. Before we talk about your twin, because you said something there very significant, I'm going to take a step back. I'm always taking a step back. I'm going to take a step back.
mm,
And the final thing I want to talk to you about in regards to Shanice's father is the whole thing of him having children, or he had 5 other children and 5 other
mm,
women, was it?
yeah,
Tell me a bit about that. How you came into the knowledge, how he just, I'm going to let you run with that. Talk
mm.
to me about that.
So when I met him, his daughter was living with him. She was 10. I thought,
Okay.
oh, it's not many men, that would. I think that, drew me as
Through you,
well. That
yeah.
not many men, are looking after their kids,
Mm,
like on their own. Like
mm,
I think that's the first. Well, I had a friend actually when I was in school. Her dad was looking after like 5 children. The mum had
wow.
gone, Yeah. So I thought, wow, but yeah, but she was living with us, and then I had my 2 kids, and they came together as a blended family.
Mm,
And then I think I had Shanice, or before I had Shanice, actually. Because when we moved, because of that big problem, when we moved to like a two bedroom place,
mm,
and his other son, came to live with us as well. So there were, by that time, 2 teenagers with us, my 2 children, and then I had Shanice. So I had the 5 children. And then his other son, the biggest, his eldest son, when we, by that time, because that place where we moved was just temporary, then we moved to where he is now. That was a 4-bedroom flat. So it was me, him, I had my 2, had Shanice, well, I had my 3. His daughter was with us, then his other son came to live with us, and then the big son came to live with us. So I was just basically washing, cooking, cleaning for
consistently.
everybody, for the whole family, and like, you don't eat what you ate yesterday, you want something different today, and it got to a point where I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't cope with all this, I can't, it's just too much. And if I'm like saying like, these kids, they're big, they can be helping more, it's like, no, and that would cause fight and stuff like that, and just, yeah, it was just too much. Yeah, it was just too much. But it was always like the mums were at fault, yeah, the mum,
That was the
yeah,
stories he was
that the mums were at fault, so
and it
yeah,
would have
but then, yeah.
no, sorry, go
Sorry,
ahead.
but no, but then even that, it weren't just, me that he would hit his son, not the biggest son.
Wow, I wanted
He
to
would
ask
hit,
you that. Yeah,
yeah, he would
I
hit
was.
his own children. He would hit his 2 children. He would really hit them, like till their head is. The boy one time his head was bleeding. The daughter, he belt her. But then he like wanting to hit my kids as well. Wanting to belt my kids as well. One time I was just like, no, you're not gonna hit him, and then it was around that time that I saw the pattern where he would be, onto them, and I was just like, these kids, because I think he was resentful that their dad was not like around, as like he was looking after them and their dad wasn't, not that he wasn't, because he was at uni, and he was at that time as well, he was kind of forced the issue that we should go to court, and then,
Who
he's an
was forcing
unfit
it,
dad.
Kevin or
He,
Shanice's dad?
no, his dad, yeah,
Shanice's.
Shanice's dad, yeah, was forcing
Okay.
the issue that, oh, you should go to court, and, so then they can be with him and, be with us as well. But it just got that bad that I was just like, you know what? Because we did go to court, and he would give statement, oh, Kevin is this, Kevin is that, and everything. And when everything turned really bad between me and Shanice's dad, like Kevin was like, I wasn't the bad person in all the, that's what he said to me. He said, I wasn't, I wasn't the bad person that I was portrayed to be. I knew he wasn't, I knew he wasn't. But
So, if Shanice's dad wanted the children to go and stay with Kevin more, why did he try to portray him as a bad person? Don't you need to portray them as a good person so
as
the
a good
court can give
person,
them?
yeah.
Yeah. But I guess, like you said, it was more about the resentment and the anger that, oh,
Mhm.
I'm here with your
Yeah,
children
I'm
and
looking after
stuff like
your
that.
children.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
But they were still going to visit Kevin. It's just that they weren't living with him
Yeah,
full time.
yeah. At point, I was like, I just felt the resentment just getting
A
more,
bit too, yeah, it was
a
building
bit
up.
too much, and I was just like, I
Mm,
can't, at that time, I was, it's just like I was nearing to, like, I'm sure, like a mental breakdown, because
mm,
one night I think I don't know if I took the kids already to go, and I just left them, at their dad's. And I think, I remember one time, I remember this time, it's like I was heading for a mental breakdown, because something happened and he was like grabbing Shanice from me. I was holding her and he was grabbing her from me. And I think I just gave him one slap around his face, and I just ran. I ran and I hit, same way I hit my dad in the head and ran. It's like, as an adult, I slapped him and just ran. And I was in the toilet, and the toilet was quite small. And I was up against the door like that, my feet against the toilet, and he was pushing. The toilet came off of the floor, the toilet, literally the whole toilet, I'm not lying, the whole toilet just lifted off of the floor, all this toilet water. And he was like, came in and was like, just like hitting me and that. Yeah. And I think I got I felt like I was starting to, fight back. I was starting to fight back, because I remember I picked up the toilet seat and just like in anger, I just threw it down, and it all just broke, and I just felt like I was starting to fight back, because another time where, he was hitting me, and I actually like bit him in the chest, because he was on top of me, like fighting me again, and like I just bit him in his chest to get him off of me. And then another time, when he was hitting me, and I felt like I got like the knife, but I didn't do anything to him. I was in the bedroom, and I remember I just like ripped up the whole of the mattress, and that's when my mum, she, you know, saw, must have seen, I don't know, I can't remember how it tailed out, because that night, because he called the police on me, and when the police saw the mattress ripped and everything with the knife, they were like, something's, they didn't take me away or anything like that. They could see that I was having like a mental breakdown, So I remember going to counseling. I used to go to a man, I think it was ISIS, a organization. And I remember he said to me, because that was another thing, everything I spent, he wants to know, what did you buy this? What did you buy? What, everyone. And then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, and then the man, when I went counseling, I was saying to him, that's one of the problems. I'm like, I'm got poor money management, because he's always asking me, what's happened to all the money, And another thing, if he said, "Oh, you can't even speak properly. You need speech therapy." And I'll go to the doctor, and I said, "Oh, I need speech therapy." And the doctor said, "What?" He said, "No, you don't." But when I went to counselling, the man was saying to me, "What he's asking you to do is unreasonable. He's the things he's asking you to do, they are unreasonable, And I was so glad, because I went through that counseling for 12 weeks. And then, funny enough, when my stepsister's husband passed, where he had the after bit, I saw the man who was giving me counseling all those years back. He don't look a day older than when I saw him.
Wow.
He was so pleased to see me, and I was so pleased to see him, yeah. So I was
Wow.
like,
Who would have thought?
wow, yeah.
So he was attending the funeral reception.
He was attending, yeah, the funeral, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Mm,
So did you
yeah.
guys have a mini catch up at all, or you didn't talk
We
about?
did. He was just pleased.
That's
Yeah, we had a
it.
mini catch up. Yeah, he was so pleased to see me and see,
Wow.
that person who we saw all those years back.
Is where you
Yeah,
are now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I still can't believe the toilet seat came off.
It came up
That gives you
not the
an
seat, the whole
indication.
of the toilet. The toilet came
Wow.
up from the floor, from off of the floor. Yeah, because the whole toilet came up, and then we were like, I remember us saying, "What could, you know?" Because when it was like that, when we were good, but when
Mhm.
it was bad, you know. Because I remember us joking about, oh, what can we say, you know, to the council to come and fix the toilet seat? How can we explain this? So he was saying, because he had a cousin who was very large, you know, so he was going to say, he's going to say that she came and used it, and that's how it broke, you know.
Wow. So
Yeah,
that conversation happened when you two had, things had calmed down and you were
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Wow. Wow.
yeah,
Okay, that is interesting because for the viewers, for because some people don't understand that. Oh, how can you be in a relationship like that? If that was me, I'll be gone the next day. If that was me, I'll know.
mhm,
But there's this a rapport that is built. There's this connections that are built.
mhm,
The neural pathways that are built. It's more than, you have to remember there's a reason why we're there. And that's the same reason why we
mhm.
just don't leave too. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We never went into it
mhm,
because it was bad. So it doesn't mean that when it gets bad we just leave. No, it would be nice if it
mhm,
was that easy, but we went into it for a good reason. So if that reason
yeah,
still exists, there's a chance we'll stay until we reach a point where the good is really no longer good.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
outweighs. Yeah, the bad outweighs the good.
Yeah, yeah, it has to
Yeah,
outweigh it. It has to outweigh it,
mhm,
and then that's when what you say is really true. That's when you say no, I'm done. It means
mhm,
I'm really done, and that's when the person's really done. But if you say any time before when you're not really done, you're not really done, and it shows.
mhm,
The connection's still there, and you can still kind of have this connection.
mhm.
Okay, before we move on to talk about your dear beloved brother, one question. You said that you used to go to Shanice's mother's house every Friday. Did the
Yeah,
mum have any indication of what was happening in the relationship? And if so,
yeah,
mm,
yeah. She knew. Yeah, yeah, she did. She
tell me
knew.
about anything she said,
Mm.
didn't do. What was her
She
stance?
just not. She didn't encourage it, but she
Mm,
didn't. You know, to be honest, if she spoke to him, he he wouldn't
he
really
wouldn't have
listen to
listened.
her. Yeah, because I'm sure she's crossed that bridge with him before with, you know, previous, you
Other, or
know.
because yeah, he's already had 5 other women in it, so
Yeah,
she's.
yes, I think she
Mm.
was, you know.
Did she tell you? Did she give you any little indication, any warning, like, yo, my son, Did she? Sometimes some mothers can do a
No,
little wink.
no, no, she didn't.
Mm.
None at all.
How is your relationship with her to today? She still
Oh
alive?
no, she's passed. Yeah, she's
Mm.
passed now.
Okay,
Yeah, but I
okay,
always used to go shopping with because she was always going to the market. You know, I'd always
okay,
go with her to the market, and you know, she'd always, you know, buy a whole heap of drinks. You know, like pop. You know, not alcohol as
okay.
such, but um fizzy drinks. She was like a shopaholic, always buying, you
Mm,
know, when Shanice was a baby, she always buying her bags of dresses, buying her this, buying her that, you know, she was like
okay.
that with all her grandchildren. She was just like
Okay.
very they were always around her. She always had her grandchildren around her.
Okay.
Yeah, she always had a family around her son.
Mhm.
He was always around her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that speaks well of her, at least, if people
Mhm.
always want to be
Yeah.
around her.
Yeah, she
Um,
was quite funny,
yeah, I was
you
going
know,
to say she
really
sounds
funny. Yeah,
jovial, like,
yeah,
yeah.
she was.
And for you to be going there every Friday and vibes in, yeah, she was one of
Yeah,
them. She was one of them. Bigger up still. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Do you know anything about her relationship with Shanice's dad's dad? Do you know anything about
Um,
Shanice's dad's dad?
I think they had their kids young. Yeah, I think
Okay.
she was very young. Yeah, when she
Okay.
had her kids, I think
Okay.
they were all, most of them, I think same dad. Yeah, I
Okay.
think maybe one of them not, but yeah, she had. Yeah, but I think she had a good relationship with him. He would,
Okay.
you know, they weren't together. She was with somebody else, but
Okay.
yeah.
Did you see much of him? Oh, I guess no. You would have seen her
Uh,
new husband more than.
yeah, no, her, I think her husband, who she married, I think he died, and then she was with another partner.
Okay.
I think Shanice's dad didn't like her husband.
Okay.
They didn't. I don't think they got on very well. Yeah, don't think he didn't speak really well of him.
Okay.
Mm.
Did he say
But
anything in particular about what he didn't like about him?
I think not really. No, I think he was just. Mm, just
Sorry,
I
cat.
don't know, just if he, I don't know, maybe got his own way more with his mum than he
Yeah,
liked,
when that guy. Okay.
kind of thing. Yeah. So
Mm,
yeah, but with
okay.
his, her Janice's dad's dad,
Mm,
I didn't really see any problems with
okay.
her and his mum.
Okay. 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 So we're gonna kind of close that chapter a bit, not fully because everything's linked. As we can
Mm.
see, the stories always got changed and they're always linked in some way. But I would like to open a new chapter and talk about your brother. Is it okay if I ask his names? I can refer to him by his name.
Yeah, yeah.
What was his
His
name?
name was Stephen.
Stephen. Okay,
Mm.
Stephen. Bear with me a moment. How was his name spelled? With a PH or V?
Yeah, PH.
Okay. Stephen. Okay. 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 So you and Stephen are twins.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm gonna let you talk to me about Stephen how you wish.
Mhm. Um, well, Stephen, oh bless him. Oh, I've dreamt him not now, not for many many years, but I have dreamt him twice. Since he's passed.